I was a longtime advisor to him. I went to work for him his first campaign for governor in 1976, and I'm still working for him.
To start, just tell me about your time working with Governor Hunt. What was he like to work with?
He was a unique combination to work with because he drove himself hard and he drove all of us who worked with him hard. But at the same time, he had this deep personal kindness and concern for you, which is a rare thing. And the reason he drove himself and us so hard is he believed so deeply in what the state could be and what it should be. And that was the real passion that motivated him all through his life.
Something that I've been hearing from others is he was the same person behind the scenes with you all as he was that the public might have gotten to see. Is that
Yeah,
one of the reasons you thought, you feel he resonated with people so well?
yeah, he was genuine. He genuinely liked people. He wanted to know about you. He wanted to know about your family, where you're from, where you went to school. He really had a deep interest in people. And so many people will say, "Oh, I ran it into somewhere," and I said, "Now you won't remember me." And he said, "Oh, yes, I remember you," and he'd know who they were. He'd know all about them. That was a genuine thing, and no matter whether it was public or private, it was always there.
And 4 terms, as governor is a very hefty accomplishment. What do you think it takes to do that?
It takes drive. It takes a deep passion for what you're doing, for why you're doing it. It takes the right kind of motivation, and it takes an ability to inspire confidence and belief in people. One of the things that really was distinctive about Jim Hunt is we know how negative politics could be, how nasty it could be. He was always a positive and optimistic voice and all that. And he never, even in the worst times when he lost to Jesse Helms in 1984, he went right back to work in the governor's office. He said, "I got 2 more months to be governor." And actually, that's when he came up with the idea of the Centennial Campus at NC State, which a lot of people don't know that he was instrumental in getting that started. He just had a constant optimism and belief that we could do better.
I know that one of his big accomplishments was RTP. Talk to me about his role in that and what it's grown to become.
Well, of course, RTP had begun before he was governor. Governor Hodges, Governor Sanford really got it started, and it had taken off. But I think what Jim Hunt realized, and he certainly was not the only person who did, but he was the only person who was governor, was that North Carolina, when he became governor in 1977, we were still a pretty poor, rural, segregated state, dependent on farms and factories, low wage jobs. And he said, and he knew we've got to change. The world is changing. The economy is changing. We've got to keep up. And the key to that, of course, was education. And that's rooted in the universities, public and private, in the community colleges, and especially in public schools. That's what he believed in more than anything else. He was the greatest champion that the public schools and public school teachers ever had.
What do you think, looking back on all of your years spent with him, what do you think his legacy is going to be?
Well, I think the economic transformation, the leadership in education, keeping North Carolina a progressive state. But I really think his legacy, what I hope it will be, is that people believe we can do better. It's so easy to think, times are bad, things are just going to get worse. he never gave in to that kind of pessimism. He would not allow you to be pessimistic or discouraged. And I've been talking to so many people who worked with him over the years, and we all agree that spirit of optimism and belief and working together, whether it's across party lines or people of different backgrounds or whatever it is, it's really a key to the future. And we hope that's something that will live on after him.
Is there anything that would surprise people to know about him?
Was a passionate sports fan, especially for NC State basketball and football. Some of my favorite times with him were going to a basketball game. Of course, he always had great seats. That was a great thing about it when he invited you. But one of the best times, and a good friend of mine who also went to state, Jack Kazort, who was his legal counsel, was in 1983 when NC State played for the national championship. The governor took us out to Albuquerque, and so we were able to be there to watch that famous last shot. But I don't know if people quite understand the passion that up until his last days he had for NC State athletics. Go Pack.
Is there any other fond memory that you have of him that when you think of him and when you got the news that came to mind?
You know, I once wrote a speech for him that wasn't very good. And I said, well, that was not good. And I may as well just go ahead and face up to it and fess up to, what I did wrong. So I went to him and I said, Governor, I'm really sorry. That was not a very good speech. And he said, no, Gary, that wasn't your work. And I misunderstood him. I thought he meant, well, somebody else did. I said, no, Governor, I wrote that speech. He said, no, Gary, that wasn't your work. I said, oh, I get it. That was not my work. I'll do better next time. That was how he led.
Is there anything else that you would want someone like me who never got to meet Governor Hunt? Is there anything else that you would want us to know about him and the person that he was?
You're like a lot of people who are either too young or came to North Carolina after he left office. That was 25 years ago. And what I would want people to know is that one of the reasons you came here or you stayed here or you were hopeful about a career here are the changes he brought about in this state. You may not know much about Jim Hunt, but the state you live in is very much a result of what Jim Hunt did as governor.
Well, thank you so much again for carving out some time. Before I let you go, is there anything else that I didn't ask you directly that you want to add?
You gave me plenty of time to say the things that are on my heart.